G'day, it's Jamie here, and welcome to Where's My Yowie. I'd like to tell you a story about my Yowie experience when I was living out at Limponwood, Bald Mountain at Limponwood in northern New South Wales, Australia. Now, Limponwood is situated in the northwestern area of the Tweed Caldera, which Mount Warning is the centre of, and I lived on Bald Mountain for approximately 10 years. It was only until the last few years living there that I had these encounters with what I assume was a yowie, and I'll explain that a little bit more now. So it was approximately winter of 2012. My bedroom was on one side of the house, and because it was an east-facing bedroom, I used to have to keep the curtains pulled when I went to sleep every night time so that the sun wouldn't wake me up in the morning, that used to really annoy me. But anyway, of a night time, and this wasn't that much often, but it was often, I would hear footsteps walking around the house. They were very, very loud footsteps and of a bipedal creature. Never once did I ever think that these were from a human. I always thought it was an animal. I used to think it was my neighbour's cows breaking in through the fence, which they did one time, and I fixed the fence. But after I heard these footsteps, the next day I would always check, and the fence was never broken, and I could never find any signs of cattle being in there, no cow poos or anything like that. But I would hear something walking around the house, and very, very heavy. It happened probably 4 or 5 times in a month, and one time my mother actually heard it as well, and I had no idea what it was, and I used to just think it was animals and never thought much of it. Then it stopped during the summer, and then when winter came, same thing again. I would hear footsteps, and it was always in the middle of the night, in the winter time, freezing cold, too lazy to get out of bed. I just assumed it was an animal walking. But it used to be really, really loud, and walking up and down the side because I had concrete on the side of the house, you could clearly hear a bipedal two-legged animal walking up and down. And I used to always assume it was cows. And at times, I thought it was horses or even pigs because of the sounds that I was hearing. Sometimes it sounded like a cow grunting, breathing. Sometimes it sounded like a pig grunting and breathing. Sometimes it sounded like a horse grunting and breathing. I had no idea what it was. It was driving me quite crazy. Then, this would have been probably after about a dozen times of this happening over the course of 2 years. This was in 2013, the second events of it. What can only be described as you'd hear the footsteps, and then what I can only describe as it was either a stick or claws maybe being dragged down the side of the house, and it was absolutely terrifyingly scary, the sound that this was making. It was incredible, and it really just used to freak me right out. And because nothing was trying to actually get inside the house, I would never I was not going to get up and investigate, because it was always in the wee early hours of the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, and it just used to just freak me right out, and I really just didn't want to know what it was. Then one night, I accidentally left the curtains open by mistake. I just forgot. So I was asleep. I didn't hear the stick dragging thing, but I did hear footsteps. And I glanced out the window. It was in the dark, but if you'll see from the pictures that I've uploaded of the view, because we were high up on the mountain, you could see a lot of the horizon very clearly, and that sort of gave a contrast to being able to see what I saw, which was a dark figure walked on two legs down by the side of the house past my bedroom window. And the thing that struck me the most about it was I never saw a head or the top of this thing because it was so tall that you couldn't see the top of its head through the window. So I estimate it was at least 8 foot tall, if not taller. It was quite scary and freaky, and I was terrified when I saw it. I sort of knew what it was, but I didn't want to believe it, and I actually put my head under the covers and just prayed and hoped that it went away, and fortunately it did, and I was so relieved. But it was absolutely terrifying. It scared me from ever wanting to go outside ever again in the dark on this property at Bald Mountain. It just really, really freaked me right out. There's not much more I can say about it other than that, but oh God, it was scary. And to this day, I honestly believe that I saw a yowie. Only a couple more times did it ever come back where I would hear the footsteps and I would just be in shock and freaking out. And a couple more times I would hear the scraping sound down the side of the house, almost the entire length of the house being scraped down. And I don't know whether, I never found claw marks on the side of the house. I never found any sticks around that it could have done this, but it was something being dragged down the side of the house. It was absolutely terrifying. And never once before I even saw the yowie did I ever, when I heard the footsteps, think that it was a human. If it had been a human, I would have gone out there and beaten them up for coming to my property. But where it was, we were out in the middle of nowhere. There was hardly any neighbours, and we're just on a secluded mountain in the Tweed Valley. It was so scary having this creature coming around. And fortunately, I don't live there no more, and I'm actually glad because it became very, very scary. Anyway, so that's my story. Hope you enjoyed it. And I'll be back to you at another time. Thank you. Bye.